Hi, this is Brad Kelly, and this is my EDL 856 case study over parent apathy. Category 1, what do I know? Here's the four things I wrote down for things that I knew from reading the case. First one is that there hasn't been much parent involvement at John F. Kennedy School in the past. Number 2, Mrs. Rose has knowledge and desire to get parents more involved in the school. Number 3, there have been parent groups in the past, but the principal is not interested in forming any of these PTA or PTO groups. And as I kind of just mentioned there in number 3, number 4, the principal seems to be not interested or a little apathetic himself when it comes to forming parent organizations. Category 1, continued here. What do I need to know? I came up with 3 questions that I'd like to know about the case here. First question is, what is the community makeup? For instance, economically, what's the situation with the town or the community that the school's in? Socially, size-wise, are we talking about like a large, like 6A Kansas high school, or are we talking like a small community? I think that would be helpful in determining, why parent apathy might exist here. And then, just kind of continuing on here, communities differ in a lot of different ways. Community involvement in schools differs from one community to the next. It's just some schools have a lot of pride, community pride, some schools don't, so I'd like to figure that out. And then as a new assistant principal, especially if I've just moved to this community, I need to learn what the makeup of the external environment is in the community. Give me a little bit better understanding, hopefully, of the problems that we're going through here. Continuing on, next thing I would like to know is what are the communication methods that the school or district uses to communicate with the general public. It kind of goes back to the size of the school, the size of the community. There might not necessarily be that many means of communication. And then, just for instance, in the case study where it said that they passed out a note to send it home and give their parents, I think that's a major issue. I'm not saying that students aren't dependable, but I guess as somebody that is maybe a little bit controlling, I personally would like to directly, somehow get in touch with those parents myself instead of having to depend on somebody else to do that for me. TV, radio, email, Facebook, those all seem like better ways to get in contact with the parents other than just sending a note home with the student. Question 3, last thing here that I'd like to know is what has caused the past parent organizations to fall apart. Is it the principal, since he seems apathetic himself to parent organizations? Does he kind of drive parents away? Is there just a genuine lack of interest? Has there been nobody that's taken control to organize it? Those are the sorts of things that I would want to try and figure out. Identifying the problem. I think the main problem here is that obviously the ISLLC standard number 4 isn't being met, simply because community members aren't being involved in the school process and in the school environment. They're being excluded. So those needs aren't being met by the school and the leadership within the school. Students' educational needs, therefore, aren't being maximized. It takes a village to raise a child, and it takes a village or a community to maintain a high-quality school. And when you're excluding a major component like the community, then students are going to suffer. So, plan of action, category 2. Again, 3 strategies, and I'll talk about these more individual here. 3 strategies that I, as the assistant principal, will use to increase community and parent involvement at John F. Kennedy School. One is I'd like to organize a parent group. We had some parents that showed up for the meeting. Organizing them together, maybe making them leaders to go and recruit more parent groups or more parents within the group would be something that I, as the assistant principal, would like to do. I would also, as the assistant principal, like to utilize media outlets more efficiently. And then I, as the assistant principal, Therefore would hopefully get more community involvement. And also with community involvement here, I want to get our school and our students involved in the community as well. And, I think sometimes it's easy to focus on getting the community involved in the school, but I think we also need to get the school involved in the community as well. Plan of action strategy 1. I, as the assistant principal, first would continue with the meeting. I wouldn't send those parents home. I would respect the fact that they showed up, and therefore I would continue with the meeting, and hopefully start a foundation involving the parents that were there and were present. Collaborating and giving leadership roles to these parents would be something that I would like to do, and then hopefully, through my means as an educator and as an administrator, and through their role as parents, hopefully we could spread the word on future meetings. Plan of action strategy 2. Next strategy I would implement would be accessing all media outlets that our school had. All communities, regardless of size, are going to have some means of media outlets to get information. Obviously, the size depends on how many of them that you have, but most school districts are going to have access to a newspaper, a radio, email, even snail mail. Even if you have to pay a little bit and maybe send something out through the postal service, I think that's well worth it to get community members involved. And then using your school and district website. In the technological age that we're in, not all, but a lot of people, most people, majority of people anyway, do have access to the internet. So using those 4, I think, would be the main media outlets that I would try and implement right off the bat. Plan of action strategy number 3. The third strategy I would implement would be to get the school and the students involved in the community. There's a lot of volunteer work that students can do with nonprofit organizations, community needs, food banks, during the holidays, have concerts for the community, caroling, passing out, at Thanksgiving time, passing out or serving meals, for the needy, volunteering, musical plays, like I mentioned. I think if we're willing to give some as a school, hopefully then the community will be willing to give some back, and more people will be interested in getting involved. Category 3 was best for the students' resolution. Student success is determined by the involvement of both internal and external publics. So, the case study didn't really mention a whole lot about internal environment, but external public and external environment is extremely important. And and there's been data that has proven community parent involvement in the schools and in the educational process as a whole. On average, those schools tend to have higher test scores and than students or than schools that lack parent involvement. So it's critical for external publics, be community members or parents, to be involved. And then number 1 here, it says use the 8 parents present at the meeting, like I mentioned before, and form a focus group to study and recruit new members. Number 2, recruit teachers to be involved in the PTO organization. Number 3, once again, using district and community media outlets, radio, TV, internet, text messaging, email, stuff like that. Category 4, what was I thinking, feeling, and valuing? I guess the first thing that I was feeling is that, what has happened in the past that the principal is so against, or at least opposed to parent involvement. There has to be a bigger issue there of some sort. I guess it's hard for me to kind of fathom why a building leader wouldn't want members, parents involved. So there had to be something that happened. The second thing is just sadness. I think that teachers, that as teachers, you have students that you run across in your classroom that are fighting an uphill battle, and I kind of feel the same way about this school, that since they're not utilizing all the resources available to them, that they're struggling a little bit. Then number 3, I was also thinking about what a great opportunity exists here at John F. Kennedy School, to change the culture and the environment. I think as a building leader, I think you want to make things better than what they were in the past. And if ever you leave and you move on, you want to make sure that when you do leave, things are better than when you first showed up. So, I think there's a great opportunity to do some things here. Unresolved issues. One thing is, how are the teachers going to accept the new parent leadership in the building? Since I'm promoting this, I need the teachers to be on board with me, and hopefully that would happen. Number 2, why is the principal against parent involvement? Number 3, the principal said he's not going to approve any PTO organization. Obviously, if you get something formed, you're going to have to get approval. And then, number 4, if the principal won't do it, do you go to the school district? Do you go to the Board of Education? I think you're kind of running a slippery slope there, as to, how much you push it, and, what's your job as an assistant principal. Is that part of it to go above and beyond what maybe the principal wants? Category 5, component 1, how did I collaborate with the community? I formed parent groups with the 8 parents that showed up. Number 2, I plan on getting students involved in the community, concerts, volunteer groups, sporting events, things like that. And then number 3, by reaching out and getting local media coverage. Component 2, responding to the diverse needs of the community. First thing is I implemented a parent-led committee to recruit members to join their organization. Number 2, by getting students involved in community events, it's going to encompass a wide spectrum of activities, like I said, from sporting events to helping nonprofit organizations and so on. Then number 3, acquiring access to different means of communication via media outlets. Alright, and then the last thing here, category 5, component 3, mobilizing community resources to address and helps solve problems in a way that helps support the school. I want to acquire access to radio and TV, newspaper, internet sites. Number 2, parent involvement, parents with different backgrounds, leadership positions, economic groups. And then number 3, establishing relationships with community, businesses, nonprofit organizations. Might help raise or give money for school improvement projects. So those are the different ways I'm mobilizing community resources there. So that is it. Thank you.